Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let Fear Bounce. This is Kim Lengling, your host, and I am so glad that you are deciding to spend just a small part of your day with myself today and my guest, my returning guest, Russell Little, and his sidekick today, Rita. She is a new addition to their family, so welcome, Russell and Rita. Russell is a writer and a practicing divorce attorney. Now, his first book, Murder for Me, is a fictionalized compilation of the many people that he's encountered over his lifetime and his over 3 decades career. Now, he has another book, folks, called Murder by Storm, that has just recently been chosen the overall winner of the 2024 Fire Award of the Fire Book Awards. So, yay, Russell, that is super exciting, the overall winner. He currently lives in Georgia with his wife of well over 3 decades. Welcome, Russell. And whenever Rita peeks her head up, she's welcome as well. But welcome to Let Fear Bounce, Russell. It's nice to have you back again.
Thank you so much. You're like my favorite. We also do a podcast. You did a great job on our show too. So I always like visiting with you. And I'm always keeping up with you on Facebook.
Well, thank you. And I do the same. So I return the favor. I've been enjoying watching the progress of Rita since she
Oh, it's
came into your
awful.
life. She must be
It's
an awful
awful.
dog.
She's, well, she won't be. It's just that she's a puppy, right? And she's little, as you saw, but she's going to weigh 70 pounds before it's over. And it's going to be it's going to be a rough year. I just
Oh,
wish she would rest a little bit so I could think.
no, she's learning. There's no time for rest. She has to learn. Learn and play. I love it. Especially her little butt up in the air with her tail wagging in the corner.
I know. It's,
It's perfect. Perfect for this show. Well, again, welcome. It's nice to have you back on. It's been a while, over a year or so, I think, since I've had you back on. And it was well, it was before Murder by Storm. So tell us about this book and where it came from and why you decided to well, you also said off mic that you've got one of the characters. I want to hear more about that story of how you said you got one of these characters that's just driving you crazy.
yeah, that was from the book I'm writing right now, Murder by Trial, which is the third
Oh,
book
we're
in
on
this.
another one, Murder by
Yes,
Trial.
but Murder by Storm, the book that we're talking about, is basically a murder thriller, a psycho murder thriller during a hurricane. The whole, the whole, the entirety of the events happen as this hurricane is roaring down on Houston and then sits on Houston. And the events happen uh, during the battle between the protagonist and the antagonist. The chessboard battle between Marilyn and Sims takes place while a hurricane's going on. Because I wanted to, there's so many. Have you ever ridden out a hurricane, Kim?
No, not in Pennsylvania.
Okay, I've ridden out five.
But we have tornadoes and blizzards.
Right, which thank God I'm physically can't deal with blizzards unless I have snow skis on. So if I have snow skis, it's like all of a sudden it's perfect and warm, right? No matter what the temperature is. But there are so many things you see during a hurricane that you cannot believe that you have to write about because if you didn't see it, you wouldn't believe it could happen like manholes blowing and the water comes pouring out like a fountain like 2 stories high it's just unbelievable or marching down the middle of a street with flood water up to your hips, and let me tell you there is nothing nastier than
Mhm.
flood water. It's worse than sewer water,
I couldn't
and
even
it's
imagine.
pouring through houses. It's unbelievable. And the way people, we live in a very divided world.
Mm.
People hating each other and being against each other because they don't agree. But when you see a hurricane and you see strangers not caring what race someone is, what they think, what their religion is, it's a stranger in danger and people putting their lives at risk to help each other. It changes your life. And it's something else I wanted to write about. And also, the dark side of me is as I went through the last hurricane, all I could think about is, wow, if someone, there's no police around. Wow, floodwaters wipe away DNA and all sorts of things about why good, it's a great time for a crime.
Yeah.
And so I put that in it too.
That's the mind of an author.
Yes. And if we're talking about writing characters, the one thing I had to do in Murder by Storm, because there were so many people demanding to know why Marilyn was the way she was and how did she have the control over people that she did, right? It's not some supernatural book. This is real stuff. How did that happen? And also, Kim, 80% of my readers are women. And so had to answer the questions about who Marilyn was and why she was that way. And I had to write it from her point of view, and it had to be authentic, or my readers would have rejected me. And that was the challenge of that book. And every book has a different intellectual challenge for me. And I had to work really hard. I had editors that I, for example, I don't know if I ever told you this story. Uh, I was meeting my editor in a cigar bar one morning to work on pages. And she walked in and she sat down and we started talking. And she stood up and she threw chapter 7 at me, the whole page. Everyone in the bar was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And I stood up because everyone knew us. I said, "It's my editor." And they're like, "Oh," and
Okay.
everyone sat back down. I got to tell you, it was hard work to make it authentic and to answer the questions and to tell the story and to make that character, multi-dimensional, both the good and the bad. I mean, the only thing harder than to make a good character to show the bad parts of them is to make people care about someone that's truly evil, right? To make someone go, "Oh, I understand why she's the way she is." That's actually part of the challenge too.
Oh, I can
And I had it,
imagine.
huh?
I can imagine. I think that would be incredibly hard. Yeah.
And and as you're writing your fiction, that's something you're gonna have to do too, right?
I will more than likely run into it. Yes. Yes.
And it's the wonderful thing about writing is that we get to test our own abilities and push the walls out a little bit further each time, which is part of my philosophy anyway.
So, how is it that you were able to put yourself into the female perspective?
I had to have a lot of help, to be blunt with you. I I understand Marilyn because Marilyn is the antagonist, the woman I'm writing about. Because I've lived with her in my soul and in my mind and in my dreams, in fact, for more than a decade, right? It's been a long time. In fact, when I first started I'm writing the first draft. I actually dreamed of Marilyn one night, who came to me, grabbing me by my collar, saying, "That's not my name. My name is Marilyn." So I woke up and this is a weird story, but it's true. So I woke up the next morning. I was so excited. And I told my wife's name Melinda. We've been married 41 years now, which is weird because I've been a divorce attorney. I'm a divorce attorney that's been married 41 years. It's
Yeah.
weird. But so I said, "I dreamed of Marilyn last night." And she looks at me. She's like, "Who the hell is Marilyn?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's my character." She's like, "I thought it was X." No, she came to me in my dream and said her name was Marilyn. And she said, "You're creeping me out. Don't tell me stuff like that anymore."
Yeah.
That's the life of an author, right?
I no, I was just sharing off Mike. I've had a story in my head for over 6 years. And this year I said, this is the year I'm gonna write this fiction book. I'm stepping away from nonfiction and getting into fiction. And the characters are time consuming. They're weaving their way into my day. So if I'm cooking or I'm walking the dog, I've got, Clara whispering, saying, "We've got to go talk to her." And I'm like, "Well, who's her? She hasn't even shown up yet." So it's interesting how the characters come and kind of whisper to you and let you know, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do next."
Have they ruined your plans yet? Said things that you did not want them to say, done things that you did not have in your outline? Have they done that to you yet?
No, but it's coming because I can feel it. And I don't have an outline. I'm literally sitting and I'm a pantser. I'm sitting and just going. I am This is how I did. Actually, this is a question I want to ask you. When you're creating, or maybe you don't create them, when your characters create themselves and come to you, introduce themselves to you, what is it? How do you keep track of them, and what do you print out or type out their story, their backstory, who this person is, what they look like, what they wear, what they sound like, what their quirks are? Do you have all of that? Like, I've been doing that. I've been typing it all up because it comes to my head. I even was using AI to create a visual of what this
Ee,
person looks
ee.
like. I know, scary, but to create a visual because I have their pictures on my wall. So
By
as
the
I'm
way, that's
typing,
very cool.
yeah.
That's very
So
cool. And I'm jealous that I did not think of that.
And mine is kind of cozy fantasy. So this is a sneak peek. I'm not going to hold it up long, but mine have wood sprites. My books have wood sprites in. So here's a few of them.
Okay, that's awesome.
So, and then my main characters.
Okay, your characters are so pretty.
So, well, I have people in their 30s and their 50s and in
You
their
have
60s.
pretty characters.
So,
I,
So
I'm
I
over a
needed to
buck.
have a visual. So I'm like, all right, this person looks like this in my head. And so I went into, Chat GPT because you can make images now. And I'm like, this is what this, and that's what they came up with. And that it was fascinating to me. That's how I've been using AI is to create pictures of my characters.
I'm good. I'm so going to copy that. I'm so excited about that.
And then I have
I'm
them on my wall.
Yeah.
So as I'm typing, I can look up and say, "Ah." I mean,
You
it's
have to.
so amazing what's happening in my head. So does that happen to you?
Well, I don't have prints of it. In fact, you need to come on our talk author talk show just to talk about what that is. Because to go on Chat GPT and and have it describe and have it print out the picture of your characters is awesome.
Well, I
You have
just
to pay a
found
lot of money for that.
Yeah. And I don't have a lot of money to have an illustrator. And plus, these aren't for in the book. This is just for me to look at as I'm
I
typing.
know, but to get pictures like that, it
Yeah.
costs money. Or it
Yes.
used to.
Yes, yes, yes. But it was so to me, that's how I do it. I need to figure out even I'm still delving into it, how to keep track of my characters because more are starting to peek in. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where are you from? You know? So it's just what do you do to keep track of your characters and keep it all straight in your head? Do you have like a program that you put them on? Do you stick them on the wall like I do? What is it that you do?
Okay, first thing, I'm an outliner, not a pantser.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so first thing I do is I outline the whole book,
Oh, see,
right?
my brain doesn't even go that way.
So I outline the whole book. Then, uh, as but see, here's the problem: the dysfunction with what I'm doing, and I also have a notebook with pages for each character. So as a character is developed and described, that's all on those pages. So I can go back and because in the first book, on the first draft, I had a character with three different colors of eyes. So you
I,
got to get that straight, right?
I yeah, I found a couple of little quirks of my own when I'd go back to the beginning of the book and I'm like, well, wait a minute, Kim. That's when I was like, I have to do something to to keep myself straight.
Okay.
I type up a whole profile for each character and I have a blue binder and they each get a page, and I show
Okay, I
them.
don't like people like you. That's way too normal and organized and healthy.
I've
I'm
never done it
way,
before, so I'm like, I have to keep myself organized or I will continue to mess up my characters.
I'm much unhealthier than that.
And you're an
I'm very,
outliner.
oh yes. Plus, my characters start, and this is, you have already described it as your characters become more dimensional and uh, have more color, and they become more alive, not only on your pages but in your soul. And they start doing things outside my outlines. They I'm not going to kill that person. I'm going to do this instead. Uh, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say this. Uh, and then yeah, I have to re-outline everything that from
Ugh,
there forward to fix it. And as the characters do it again, or another character, I have to do it again.
yeah.
See, it's I am not organized with blue folders.
I love my blue binder. I was so actually when I found it. I'm like, I have to have at least one empty binder in this house. And I found it. It's really old, really beat up and crappy looking. And I'm like, perfect.
Right.
Then I found some, insert because I'm thinking, look at me, I'm going to be so organized and this book is going to make sense. Well, half of it's in the binder and the other half is literally just pages that I've printed out that I had to put in. But at least when I'm
So do you
typing,
have a hole puncher? Are you so organized that you have a hole puncher, don't you? You're that person. Ah, way too healthy. A hole puncher person.
oh, yeah, I have
That's
a hole
how I'm going to
puncher. And,
define you from
page
now on.
protectors that I slide stuff in, page protectors.
Page protectors. That's how I'm going to define you from now on.
Page protector. That's not a bad thing to be known as.
Okay, that was the funniest part of the whole show that you got defensive and you said that. That's the funniest part of the whole show.
Oh, I came across as defensive?
Oh yeah, that
Oh,
was good.
really?
I like that.
Oh, I didn't feel defensive to me. No.
Okay.
But I like it. I like to be a page protector. That's like it makes you sound like you're like the protector of the books, the guardian of the written word.
Yes. I am
Woo!
I am the non-page protector. I am the evil one.
You're the one that kills the page protector.
I'm there to make you think about a character late at night. That's what I want to do.
You had mentioned that off mic. You want to come up with a character that's so evil and repulsive is the word that you
Not evil. There's
repulsive.
difference. Repulsive. That's
Yes.
grosser.
Yes,
I
I
mean,
caught it.
anyone can make up an evil person,
That's right, anybody.
but
I
gross or repulsive. Eee.
repulsive is such an awesome word.
I
Yes.
know. I like that one.
Yeah. So you wanted to come up with a repulsive character that people kind of like and they can't get out of their head.
Right. Readers, they may not even like it. They like that they remember them and that they've read about it and it's so repulsive. It's like liking the bad part of you, right? That's what I want the readers to do. And that's my challenge in my next book. And I got to tell you, the outline was not working for Murders by Trial, the next book, right? Because I didn't when I tried a case for 41 years, I would I believed in getting my hands down in the mud so I could feel the case. It made me a better trial lawyer. Wherever if the if it was a murder scene or a car accident, I went to the scene of the occurrence
Mhm.
and I would delve into it because I felt philosophically if I got my hands in the mud, I would do a better job. And that's the way it is in my writing too. I don't know really where I was going with that.
No, but that I find that no, but I find that fascinating. I worked for a criminal attorney for years, as his
I'm
legal
so sorry.
secretary, and
And I think I said I was sorry last time you told me
yeah,
that too.
yeah. But it was fast, and I've never forgotten. I mean, I learned so much on that job about so much. but it's fascinating that you say it because he did the same thing. And we would spar, verbally
That's probably
because,
why he likes you as a coworker so much.
well, because he's a criminal attorney. So he was representing the criminal aspect. And so he would come back and I'd be typing up all of his stuff. And I'd be like, oh, righteous indignation, go into his office and say, listen, Alan, how can you blah, 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 blah. And he would always chuckle or get a grin. And he'd be like, you know what? I appreciate your anger. And I also appreciate that you're making me look at this from a different angle. So now I can go this way. And you just helped me better defend him. And I'm like,
Right.
you know,
Right.
but I
People,
learned so much. It was just fascinating, fascinating stuff.
I have been confronted many times. How can you do you really defend people you know are guilty? Yeah. Those are like the best people to defend. How can you defend those people? Well, number one, they have a constitutional right. If we
Exactly.
don't protect their right, then we could lose our right. It's like a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two is intellectually, it's the greatest battle you can fight when everything's against you. And when you win, it's the greatest win, which even outrages people more, right?
Yes.
And I understand. I understand. But it's a great intellectual challenge to go into a courtroom. Like, here's an example. I remember one time I walked into a courtroom in a country courthouse in Beaumont, Texas, of all places. And as I walk into the district courtroom, the clerk uh, says, "Oh, we were talking about your client over coffee this morning." In other words, the clerks and the judges, because, and let me tell you, you do not want to be the lawyer representing someone that they all talk about while over coffee before the
Right.
hearings that day, because that means they're like,
There's a little bias involved.
there's a lot of things going on, right?
Hmm.
So that that's but that's a great challenge.
So, you're not the only attorney I know who writes uh, books
Yeah, because
of
attorneys are know-it-alls,
of the of
right?
the dark on the darker side. Um,
Yeah,
here's
because we
one.
see the dark, we live in the dark.
Yeah, that's part of my question. So, first off, Don Lewis, look up his books. He was a local attorney where I live, and he's written numerous books, and they're actually quite good. I have, I think, three of them, um, and they're murder type stuff. They're great. Don Lewis, and I think he might live in Florida now. But anyway, his books are great, and he was a very well-known criminal attorney in our area, and took on some really heavy cases. And I often wondered, and this is my question to you too, when you're writing your books now with your background, of course, as an attorney, which is incredibly helpful, I'm assuming when you're writing your books, is it hard to tap into that dark side of yourself because you have no? So that's a simple
No,
answer.
I
No.
love the dark side. I spent 41 years in the dark side. I got to tell you, and being in the courtroom doing battle is the thing that right now I don't do courtroom trial stuff anymore. And I miss it. I miss it. I
It
miss
would be
it
an
going
adrenaline
in.
rush. Was like, adrenaline
It's a
rush?
total rush.
Yeah.
It's a total rush. It's the kind of rush where you think about, you don't, when you're in trial, you don't have a family, you don't have a life, you don't sleep, you force yourself to eat. Uh, there is nothing else. There's nothing else that exists if you're going to win except the trial and what's going on. And and by the way, there's something that I'm writing about in my next book, Murder by Trial. I want to communicate something that few people realize, and that is the whole thing about there being different sets of facts. There's the facts that the public knows about. There's a whole separate set of facts, a more complete set of facts that the judge, maybe some police officers, perhaps one or more of the lawyers know, which is going on. And then there's a whole separate set of facts, which is completely different sometimes, that the jury actually finds out and knows about and makes their decisions on. Those are all three separate sets of facts. And the challenge can be, uh, as a member of the public, when you find out what's going on, you're like, how could the jury do that? And then 10 years later, when someone writes a book, like the Watergate books that came out way after Watergate, and you find out a whole different set of facts. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe I didn't know that, which is
Right.
the whole third set of facts.
Yeah.
That's something I'm writing about.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're doing that. I'm glad you're doing that because there's so much stuff, and because I'm a thinker like that too. I'm
Yes.
like, all right,
And you're from the legal profession. You've seen that.
so I see it from different, you see the family's perspective,
Yeah.
then you see the attorney's perspective, like you were saying, nothing else matters. I don't know how many times I worked overtime and came in on weekends to transcribe
Right.
all the stuff my
You've
boss was doing.
seen the nothing
I
else
brought my
matters world.
five-year-old daughter with me.
Yeah.
And so they're so engrossed in it. And then you have
That's how
like,
you
the facts
win.
that the jury might get. There might even be four sets of facts, you know,
Right.
the family version.
Oh, yeah. That's totally different.
But it all plays a part of that big old bubble. And yeah, folks, I don't think folks, they're not coming outside the tunnel when they see something like, a big case that might be televised or in their small town, and they're like, oh my gosh. And to you, how can you defend this person? They don't see the whole story. They only see what the newspaper probably printed.
Right.
People,
That's
yeah.
so,
Open up your mind, folks, because there's a whole lot more to every story out there. And that's all I have to say on that.
oh, yeah. And, like, I am writing in working on this book, so the reader is going to see how is going to be see the facts from all three, because I want them to react to the way the characters are making decisions based upon the information that they have at the time. And I want to create emotional reactions out of my readers as they read that.
Did you do that in your other books from the different perspectives, or you're doing it in this one?
Well, I have to, I don't use first person. So I use different perspectives, right?
Yeah.
But uh, because I'm trying to, I want to write a book, and I want to write a book that people enjoy, but I also want to find that massively repulsive but unforgettable character. But you can't put them too much of that juice, and someone will stop drinking it, right?
True.
So
Yeah.
I've got to create different perspectives.
You got to find that balance. Yeah.
Right. You can't drink too much grape juice can taste great, and
It'll
then
turn your lips purple. So,
you don't want to touch it for 30 days. I
right. Yeah. Yeah.
don't want to get
Who
there.
wants to walk around with blue lips?
Right.
So, I find this fascinating because I've read books, and I don't read the type of stuff that you write. I don't read very often anymore. I used to all
You
the
hurt
time.
my feelings. That hurts my feelings.
I do read it, but not as much as I used to when I was younger. I don't, I've had this shift. So I'm more in like softer stuff, which is what I'm writing as well, but still,
Right.
regardless, when I would read, I remember certain, like maybe a Stephen King novel, and I would finish it and go, oh my gosh. And that would be like what I would say as I shut the book. And then you couldn't sleep for 3 days, and you couldn't get some of those characters. It's like, oh my gosh, well, if he did that, where's he at now? And what happened to her? So you want to write a book that people are going to be still thinking about after they close it up for the last time and then wonder, oh, but what about?
Yes. And that's true in Murder by Storm. But this next book, I just want them not to be able to forget this one character.
So you're focused on the
Yeah.
repulsive, yucky one.
Right. Not yucky. Re- repulsive
Repulsive.
is much stronger than
It is.
yucky.
It is such a good word.
Unforgettably repulsive.
Oh, Hear that,
Like you
folks?
have to turn the
Unforgettably
page,
repulsive
right? Because you have to turn the page to see what
because you
uh
just can't believe it. So you have to keep
right.
reading.
You gotta see the next page to see, well, what does this person do next?
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh, did
why are
they
they
do
so
that?
clueless? And how can he not know that he's grossing people out around him? Or how did he miss that? Or why is he so egocentric that he can't see this?
Wow. So you it sounds like you're having a whole lot of fun with it.
Yeah, but it's also destroyed the outline. So
Yeah, your outline is in the crapper.
it's totally it's destroyed the outline.
So that's okay. When this murder by trial, do you have a potential release date for it?
No, and I've been rebuked many times for that answer.
I can, I've just started writing my book and I've got just the very few people I've told. They're like, "Well, when's it coming out?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm writing it." You
I'm
know?
still struggling. I'm still struggling with my outline being destroyed
Yeah,
as
trying to
this
tell it.
grotesque sweeps through my story, and I can't seem to pull away from him.
Uh, well, maybe one of your characters will be like, "Pull yourself together, Russell."
I know, right? In a dream. I can't tell my wife about it though, because that
No,
creeps
you
her
can't tell
out.
your wife anymore. She'll think you're stranger than you are, and she's
And I
known you
still
for a
have to
long
get up
time.
every 2 hours with this dog. So,
Oh, that's right, that awful puppy.
right. So I don't get to actually go to sleep because every 2 hours I have to get up and take her out. It's
And I
awful.
love it. And you do too, you know it.
I do. She'll be a great new friend.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, time has flown, Russell. We're going to get ready to wrap this up. Holy cow, this has been so fun, which I knew it would be. I so enjoy having you as a guest. Let folks know where they can find all of your good stuff, your books, anything else that you might have coming up. Where can they find you?
Okay, two places is good. RussellLittleAuthor.com, where they can see all my interviews, the awards, or what's going on with my books, where they can be diverted to other places to buy books. That's where you go. If you want to know about what I'm doing day to day as a writer, the best place to go is Facebook Russell Stories. Like before I got on this interview, I put something in Russell Stories about trying what am I going to do with this dog because she won't settle down. And I have the interview with Kim. I'll go on there afterwards sometime today and talk about what a great interview this was. It'll be the first place I post this interview uh, when you finish editing all my uh, things that you have to cut out of it for. So that's Russell's Stories on Facebook is the best place to do that.
Well, okay. So that's where folks can find you. Two easy spots. All of that will be in the show notes in the description, folks. So it'll be easy for you to check all of that out. Now, Russell, I ask all of my guests to toss out a nubbit, a new word. I ask all of my guests to toss out a nugget of hope for the listeners today. So, what would your nugget of hope be today?
Uh, well, my personal hope would be about the dog sleeping long enough for me to actually get some work done. But uh, my real word of hope would be that just as I mentioned that I wrote about seeing people come together in a severe situation and not caring about the disagreements, there's hope for us as we are in the divided world that we're in.
There is. Yes, there is. Thank you for that. And thank you for once again being my guest. This has been a true pleasure and just so fun. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everybody out there, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Be sure to tune in each week, folks. New episodes are uploaded on YouTube as well as any of your listening platforms. So let fear bounce. I'm Kim Lengling, your host. Everybody be well, stay well, and above all, be blessed.